Welcome to the Wild West. Outback, Australia, land of sunshine, surfing, and some of the most bizarre wildlife encounters you can imagine. Forget spiders the size of dinner plates. We're talking full-on feathery fiends holding their ground against the Australian army. Yes, you read that right. Buckle up, because we're diving into the wacky, wild world of the Great Emu War of 1932. It wasn't a battle fought with fancy technology or intricate battle plans. This was a war of attrition, with wit and resilience, and a healthy dose of bird-brained brilliance at its core. Picture this: thousands of emus, those giant flightless birds with a reputation for mischief, facing off against soldiers armed with Lewis guns. Sounds like the setup for a bad joke, right? Except this was a real event, etched into the annals of Australian history. So grab your Akubra hats and slather on some sunscreen, because we're about to explore the Great Emu War, a story that's equal parts hilarious and head-scratching. Emugency. Farmers cry foul, government declares war. Picture this: Western Australia, 1932. The Great Depression is in full swing and farmers are already struggling. Then a feathered foe descends upon their wheat fields, 20,000 strong. The culprit? The emu, a bird known more for its awkward gait than its appetite for destruction. These weren't your average bird pests, though. Emus, standing at nearly 6 feet tall and built like feathered rugby players, can be surprisingly destructive. And destructive they were, gobbling up crops and leaving a trail of chaos in their wake. Desperate times called for desperate measures. The farmers appealed to the government, and surprisingly, the government listened. Enter the 7th Heavy Battery of the Royal Australian Artillery, armed with Lewis guns and a mission: cull the emu population and save the crops. It seemed like a straightforward task. After all, how hard could it be to defeat a bunch of flightless birds? Oh, the naivete! Little did they know they were about to walk into one of the most bizarre military campaigns in history. Lewis guns versus feathered tanks, an unexpected standoff. The stage was set for an epic showdown. On one side, the Australian army, trained and equipped with the latest military technology. On the other, a seemingly disorganized mob of emus, their only weapons their powerful legs and an uncanny ability to outmaneuver their opponents. The first shots were fired in early November 1932. What followed was, well, less of a war and more of a comedy of errors. The emus, it turned out, were masters of guerrilla warfare. They scattered at the first sign of danger, making them incredibly difficult targets. Their feathers, surprisingly thick and tough, even provided a degree of bullet resistance. The soldiers, used to facing human enemies, were utterly unprepared for this unconventional warfare. Their Lewis guns, designed for mowing down infantry, were about as effective as water pistols against these feathered foes. The emus, meanwhile, seemed to be mocking their human adversaries, their beady eyes glinting with mischief. Retreat. The emus claim victory, and the outback. As the days turned into weeks, the Australian army found themselves increasingly outmatched. The emus, far from being intimidated, seemed to be thriving amidst the chaos. They continued their rampage through the countryside, leaving a trail of flattened crops and frustrated soldiers in their wake. Newspaper reports from the time tell a tale of military frustration and, dare we say it, embarrassment. One headline declared, "Emus win first round." Another lamented the psychological warfare being waged by the birds. It was a PR nightmare for the Australian government and a source of endless amusement for the rest of the world. By December, with their ammunition dwindling and their morale at an all-time low, the army was forced to admit defeat. They retreated from the battlefield, leaving the emus to claim their hard-won victory. The Great Emu War, short-lived and utterly bizarre, was over. Section 5. The aftermath, more than just birdseed and bullet holes. The Great Emu War might seem like a footnote in history, a quirky anecdote to be trotted out at parties. But beneath the surface of this feathered fiasco lies a deeper story, one of human hubris, ecological imbalance, and the surprising resilience of nature. In the aftermath of the war, the emus continued to thrive, their numbers seemingly unaffected by the military's efforts. The farmers, though still frustrated, were forced to find other ways to protect their crops. The government, on the other hand, faced a barrage of criticism for their handling of the situation. The Great Emu War became a symbol of government waste and ineptitude. It highlighted the dangers of underestimating the natural world and the importance of understanding the delicate balance of ecosystems. Most importantly, it served as a reminder that sometimes nature has a way of fighting back, and not always in the ways we expect. Section 6. Lessons from the front, what the emus taught us, besides never underestimating flightless birds. The Great Emu War, despite its comedic overtones, offers some valuable lessons. First and foremost, it highlights the importance of adaptability. The Australian army, so used to conventional warfare, was completely outmaneuvered by the emus' unconventional tactics. The emus, on the other hand, demonstrated the power of resilience and adaptability. They refused to be intimidated by their human adversaries, relying on their natural instincts and agility to survive. The war also underscores the interconnectedness of human activity and the natural world. The conflict arose from a combination of factors: agricultural expansion, ecological imbalance, and economic hardship. It served as a stark reminder that our actions have consequences, and that sometimes nature will push back in unexpected ways. Section 7. The legend lives on, emus in the Australian psyche. The Great Emu War may be over, but its legacy lives on in Australian culture. It's a story told and retold, often with a healthy dose of humour and a touch of self-deprecation. The emus, once seen as pests, have become unlikely folk heroes, symbols of resilience, cunning, and the indomitable spirit of the outback. The war has inspired countless songs, poems, and even a few operas. It's a popular subject for school projects and a source of endless fascination for tourists. In a way, the Great Emu War has become a part of Australia's national identity. A reminder that even in the face of adversity, Australians can find humour and resilience in the most unexpected places. Section 8. Beyond the Outback, a world of weird wars. The Great Emu War might be one of the most bizarre conflicts in history, but it's certainly not the only one. From the pig war between the United States and Great Britain to the casus belli, a bucket that sparked a war between the Ottoman Empire and Montenegro, history is full of strange and often hilarious conflicts. These conflicts, often sparked by misunderstandings, miscalculations, or just plain bad luck, offer a glimpse into the absurdities of human nature. They remind us that history is not just about grand narratives and epic battles, but also about the quirky, the unexpected, and the downright strange. So next time you're feeling bogged down by the serious side of history, take a moment to explore the lighter side. You might be surprised by what you find. Section 9. Your turn, what history books haven't told you. The world is full of untold stories waiting to be unearthed. The Great Emu War is just one example of the strange and wonderful events that often get overlooked in traditional history books. So I challenge you to dig a little deeper, to look beyond the headlines and discover the hidden gems of history. Talk to your grandparents, visit your local library, or simply start Googling. You might be surprised by what you find. Share your discoveries with friends, family, or even the world. Because history, at its heart, is about storytelling. And the more stories we tell, the richer our understanding of the past becomes. Section 10. Until next time, from Down Under, where the emus roam free. So there you have it, the tale of the Great Emu War, a conflict that pitted man against bird and resulted in a resounding victory for the feathered fiends. It's a story that reminds us to never underestimate the power of nature, to find humour in the face of adversity, and to always be prepared for the unexpected. From the land of sunshine, surfing, and surprisingly resilient emus, until next time, happy exploring.